You show me the arm with the bubble cam, Colleen. All right, guys, what's range and bearing, or bearing?
Our bearing is due north.
Due north.
And if we can get a zoom on these calls right off the bat.
Yep.
I'm
Go ahead, video.
Zero my 6-8 wraps.
Nope, hold on.
Okay.
No, you don't want to zero your, why do you want to zero your reps?
Don't I zero them when we start a dive?
Yeah, on the deck when you're on the ship's heading. They were zeroed then, right?
Yeah.
So they should be good now. Shouldn't be at zero now. The ship's at about 160, 150, and you're at 90. And you got -2, so that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Any chance we can go in closer on one of these
Yeah,
columns?
just come wide and I'll fly down there. I'm still up pretty high here.
I'm going to give you a more exact DVL reset if you're also that.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, reset.
Is that Steve in the back row?
It is.
Yep.
Okay, go in
transport
and zoom there.
Whenever I see corals on the screen.
He just ran in and tossed Allison right out of a ship seat. Now I can, yeah, at this scale I can tell they're bamboo.
Yeah. So these look like nodal branchers. So the branching occurs on the node or just around the node, which tells us something about their identity. Just because these are just so crazy abundant here, I'd like to just take a quick snip of one of these while we're stationary.
Sure. Okay, full wide.
Abundant is right.
I'm going to back out for a second and see if I can get a sensible place to sit down. So you have to zero your reps every time you're, once you start up, once your compass is based off your, it needs input from the compass, right? So once you start your compass up and it's working correctly, then before you get off deck, if it's nice and straight, I mean, if it's like sideways, you have to wait till you get in the water, but when you know that you're on the ship's heading, then you reset it then. So you can do it in the water, or you can do it on the deck if it's nice and square. If you're not sure, like when we go in the water, then you can, you know the ship's heading, and then you see your own heading on the compass, so you can just catch it as a, you'll probably be swinging around a little bit, but you can catch it as you come by. What is sitting on something funny there?
And a reminder to our viewers at home that the green lasers that you're seeing in the middle of the screen, the 2 green dots are 10 centimeters apart, and they help us get scale.
Okay. Steve, are you still back there?
Yeah, so I figure that that branch that's coming off the right side of the colony,
Yep.
maybe the top 20, 25 centimeters of it, we want at least 1 or 2 branch points.
Okay.
Unstocked crinoid that looks like it's landing on it, or at least hovering around.
Kind of right where that laser beam is right now, that would be a great
Yeah.
snip.
Can you get the bubble cam out over where the jaw is?
Mm-hmm.
Right about here?
Looks great to me.
I got the other one in there. Get out.
Wow.
Bing.
And
Finesse.
where would you like it?
Could we put it in one of the starboard small compartments? Steve, do you think aft, since it's not floaty, or would you like it toward the front?
It's not going to be floaty, so you can put it in the hard compartment. D.
Roger.
And again, those lasers are about 10 centimeters apart, which is equivalent to about 4 inches.
Exactly 10 centimeters.
Yes, exactly 10 centimeters apart and about 4 inches. Just about 4 inches.
Oh no. Get your finger out of there.
Can you drop a target
Okay.
here? That's sample 090.
090.
Nice.
We're gonna hit 100. Something tells me.
Now, Steve, this particular depth was not explored by Okeanos, correct?
That's correct, but Steve has moved back down.
All right.
All right.
This is Steve.
Hello, Steve. You're really good at impressions.
Yeah, the Okeanos dive, they started at about 800 meters
Okay.
when
so
they
about-
explored. So we'll actually try and come across probably portions of the track line that they dove on. So it'd be interesting to compare what they saw. That was back in 2017.
Very
that they were here.
Alrighty. Looks like a pretty gradual slope up to waypoint 1 if you're good at tracking point 3.
Yeah, sure. Try it out.
So much coral. Wow.
Bridge nav. Request we track a line bearing 000 at 0.3 knots. Thank you.
Really dense.
Yeah, this is going to be a good dive.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, it's very promising, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's actually, we didn't expect anything in this area because it was all sediment and kind of like
Wow.
a little bowl-shaped filled area.
Yeah, I got told, I was like, oh, we're going to see a lot. And they're like, oh, not at the deep parts.
We show them.
Surprise, surprise. None of us had any clue.
And that is the magic of deep sea exploration. You never know what we're going to come across in these areas. It's always something to surprise us.
Like the bubble camera over the porch.
And the tube you may have seen coming off of the porch is something called the slurp sampler that we can use to vacuum things up from the seafloor, slurp them up. So we did a slurp sample of a cup coral on a previous dive, last dive.
So urchin or something right in the center, pretending
Yeah.
to be a boulder.
Oh yeah.
It's not doing too bad of a
It's
job.
like just like negative space. Just a hole.
It's like Vanta Black.
I thought it was a shadow of something at first.
Zoom in there, video.
Yeah. Wow, it still looks almost like negative space even this close up. Cool.
How did the
Looks closer.
processing of that venomous urchin go?
Very well.
Was it exciting?
It was very exciting.
Very exciting.
There was much caution used.
I saw Kevin bringing it into the wet lab off
Okay.
of the ROV, and
What?
he was very cautious.
Very cautious. We only lost one intern, but that's science.
That's science. For our viewers at home, we're talking about a sample that was taken last dive of an urchin, different from the one that we just saw, but one that actually has venomous kind of sacs that are modified spines off the top. So there's always a lot of care taken with sample processing, but particularly when they're venomous.
I'm going to use bubble for gauges.
Sure thing.
That's good. Yeah, so welcome to all of our viewers logging in right now. You're coming on at an awesome time. We just got down to the seafloor for this dive, again off of Jarvis Island, starting at a depth of about 1,800 meters and going up to 250 meters. So really excited to see what we find. We've already, landed right on the bottom to a beautiful array of all this coral. So stay tuned. Never know what we'll see down here on the seafloor.
Oh, and shout out to my friend Austin, who said he'd be tuning in. He is also from Fall River, Kylie.
Your buddy, Brown?
Yep.
Tell him well, hey, Austin. I'll tell him myself.
My friend Austin's mom was Kylie's superintendent in high school.
Oh, look at that.
I know, small world.
Zoom in there.
Could we get any tighter around the head if possible?
Just a second.
It's moving pretty fast, actually.
Does not want to be seen.
No, camera shy.
Try and get in there for a second video. Yeah. Coming in. Yep.
Oh.
Full line.
Roger.
And again, this area was previously explored by Okeanos, but we are at a depth that they did not get to in this particular region. This area was explored at about 800 meters, starting at about 800 meters depth by Okeanos, and we are starting about 1,800 meters. So quite a bit further down.
We're also hoping to go a bit shallower than they did.
How
as well.
shallow did they go?
I think in the 300 or so odd meters, I believe.
Okay.
Wow.
So we're hoping to come up a little bit from that. Very cool.
Yeah, 300. They got to 375 meters depth. So, and we're looking to go to 250.
What are those like fuzzy stalks in the middle there? What kind of strange?
Get a zoom.
Can't tell if it's something growing on the end of.
They're trufflet trees.
Oh, so there it looks like a bunch of crinoids
do
hanging
look at-
out on the top
Fine,
there.
buddy.
Bamboo coral.
Cool. We are speaking for these trees right now. Crinoids on the top of a bamboo coral. And gets that name bamboo from the appearance of the stalk. You can really see it in this view, the dark sort of protein bands that make up the skeleton with the white calcium carbonate in between. And if you hear during the dive nodal or internodal branching, that's referring to where the branching happens, whether it's at those dark spots or somewhere else along the stalk.
I think it's interesting how some of these rocks that the corals are attached to seem to have tipped over.
Yeah.
Like the rock itself, perhaps.
Maybe
I don't know if it's from the weight of the coral at some point.
Maybe
or
as the coral grew.
Yeah.
These are pretty big colonies too, so they've been on here for quite a while. And it looks like a downed one right there, actually, right of the lasers. Looks like one that knocked over there. No more polyps on it.
I guess we know there's some loose rocks here, Kevin.
Yep. Problem is with this kind of seamount, there's a lot of coral debris and a lot of carbonate rocks. So I'm going to probably be grabbing stuff once we hit waypoint 1 to like waypoint 4, and then that's basically all I'm interested in. Right when we went on this.
You say that now.
Yeah. I mean, I might grab some rocks, but
So
I'm not going to want them.
Zoom in there.
Can we see Jarvis Island from where the ship is at the moment if you're on the deck?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
I
very
missed it.
exciting.
It's very flat.
It's got a pretty neat history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it?
It
Yeah,
does.
it
It
does.
wasn't discovered until 1820s,
Wow.
I think.
And then in the 30s and 40s, a group of like over 100 Hawaiian men lived on it, right? To
Okay, come on.
make it a area that could be claimed by the U.S.
Well, it's part of the Guano Islands Act, and so it was guano mining on the island. So I think they were shipping the guano back to Hawaii. But it's a really, not a great place to live if you're a human, probably.
Yeah.
There's no fresh water source. There are virtually no vegetation. And there's very, very little rainfall being on the equator. So it was a pretty rough place to live, I think.
Yeah, I was reading that there were groups of men who lived there for about a year at a time without people coming in between or something like that, which is incredible to think about. They had to really bring a lot of stuff with them, I would imagine.
So if you look at the quad view right now, we have kind of the plan for the dive with the different waypoints. Is that, I don't know if you can see, anybody else can see that, but is that blue section above sea level on the top?
Yeah, so that would be the island itself, but it's all of the data that's in that, the map that you're seeing there is just the seafloor bathymetry.
Right.
So it doesn't have the shapefile of the island itself.
Very cool. So yeah, we're coming up a ridge again towards the southeast of the island, and you can really see that in that map that Steve has up on quad view. So thank you for that.
We're trailing a ways behind here.
Yeah.
Do you want me to bring it down to point 2? Or
I thought we were at point 2. We're at point 3?
point 3.
I'm fine with the speed.
Yeah, I think I'm fine with point 3 until we hit at least waypoint 1.
Yeah, we can check it if it's going to get steeper.
Gets outrageous.
Yeah.
Roger that.
Someone just
Oh no.
I think we might have gained another sample.
Yeah, I gained a sample.
Oh,
All
is
right.
it stuck to you?
Yeah, you can see it.
Oh, jeez.
It's big.
Full wide.
Is this how much Steve wanted?
Steve want that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Herc has a boutonniere.
Mhm.
I mean, this morning was the crab, now it's the coral. Everything's trying to climb on board.
You just know how much fun we have on this watch.
I'm
So
going to go ahead and check that swing. The ship's almost at waypoint 1, so if the swing comes back, we should be in the right position anyways.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Bridge, nav. Request we hold position.
There's a big old down one on the right.
Looks like it possibly might even still have some
Yeah, it looks still alive.
alive stuff on it.
Yeah, like the lower part, the polyps on the lower section died, but the ones that are still up are doing okay.
Yeah, we're getting eaten.
True.
It's like when trees get knocked over by the wind and start growing sideways.
Yeah. Life finds a way. Even down here in the deep, deep, dark ocean. Especially down here. Would the rocks that we're seeing, would this be referred to as talus?
No. Towers
No.
is usually like right at the base of a cliff.
Oh, okay.
So like when you approach the cliff, you see like the base of it slanted upward, which is just rubble.
Mm-hmm.
That's talus. This is just, you know, boulders that have kind of tumbled downhill.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like there's a lot more little bits than what we've been seeing.
Yeah.
Looks like a different, possibly a different type of coral there to the right.
You want the smaller one, or?
The one that looks like it's got more
yeah, I see what you're saying.
concentrated polyps.
I'll zoom in.
Still a bamboo.
Okay, come wide.
Again, for our viewers at home, the stalks that you're seeing are coral colonies, and coral is a colonial invertebrate animal. So when we zoom in and you see those little pieces coming off, those are what we call polyps, and they have little tentacles, and they're actually pulling in debris from the seawater, and that's how they're getting their nutrients to grow big and tall, like they are in this area. Yeah. Really interesting how many of these are coming across.
There's a fish. Upper right.
Oh yeah. Go ahead and zoom in.
I was gonna say
it looks like the
Same
same
shy guy.
one.
The elusive something or other.
I can't say I blame it too much given that we've got, you know, a bunch of bright lights pointed right at it.
It's a type of rat tail.
I mean, yeah, but it seems all game for it until we zoom in.
It's a tease.
Does the zoom make a noise?
It will next time we zoom.
That's
But
true.
when we're doing the tests, if you're down by Herc, do you hear the zoom?
No.
I can't imagine the fish would hear that.
Steve says it's a cusk eel.
Again, these corals are feeding on the debris, so there's lots of stuff that falls as debris down through the water column. You know, bits of food that wasn't fully in, mucus, gametes, poop, scales, all that good stuff. Also the dead microorganisms that live in
Zoom
the
in.
water as they fall down.
Go wider.
Now that one looks more like a rat tail, I guess. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, it's reflecting off stuff as it.
Still seeing a lot of coral density here. Now I would imagine that these shorter corals are a different species than the taller stalks. Does that sound like an accurate assessment?
Did you say the shorter ones you think are different than the taller ones?
They seem to be a little different to me. They're not, the branching's not as long. It's sort of more concentrated towards the base and sort of splayed out. I've just noticed that there's quite a few of the shorter ones, but I don't know. It also seemed like the polyps might have been smaller, but I am no coral expert.
Nor am I. We'll see what Steve says.
So that cusk eel, Steve was saying, is a Basozetus.
Basozetus.
Yep. It's got a good common name that we will not repeat.
Argus is starting to come back into a reasonable spot.
And thank you to all our viewers that make recommendations to your friends about watching Nautilus Live. Really glad to hear that, you know, you and your friends are enjoying it. And thank you for watching.
Zoom in a bit there, video. Oh, sorry, I'm out on the end of my leash here.
Alrighty. If you're good with Argus, it hasn't really been coming in too much closer.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. Is the Argus camera out of focus?
Yeah,
or
we're talking about it.
Yeah, I've been playing with that. It looked like this on the way down as well when we first reached the bottom, and I was able to get it to come into focus. I'm not having any luck here.
Like it just went out of focus maybe a minute and a half ago.
Is there any chance it has to do with a water temperature change or anything?
I don't know.
It's not going to be that different here than what we've been in.
Yeah, I seem to not have focus control at the moment.
Do you have zoom?
I have zoom.
Okay.
It's funny, my zoom isn't going as full wide as it typically does. Usually I get a little vignette.
Yeah.
It's weird. Right there, yep, see I've got something back. Now I can go full wide. So something's happening where it freezes up. It's sticking somewhere.
Okay.
Both of the wheels of zoom and the focus.
Thank you, Steven.
I'm going to make a note and I'll keep an eye on it.
Roger.
Jamie's got it logged in the engineering log too.
Thanks, Jamie. try resetting this controller and see if it comes up again.
We're real close here, so I'm just stepping over, and then we'll see if we can get back on a line.
Roger.
Is that a mushroom call on the bottom of the screen? One and me.
Where are you looking?
Under
At
that
the boulder
rock.
on the bottom, by the yellow color.
Oh yeah.
That's an anemone. Hanging upside down.
Yeah.
Zoom in there, please.
Just drooping.
That yellow coral seems different on top of the rock, right?
Yeah. It also seems to have a bunch of barnacles on it. Looks like it might be
Or is it a
zoanthids on one
yeah.
side, coral polyps on the other, and barnacles on the bottom. Yeah, those look like zoanthids to me.
Yep.
Tricky, the same color as this coral.
Is that full zoom?
Full zoom.
Okay.
Got it. So to our viewers who are wondering about why this area may have been spared from the El Nino bleaching events that took place in this area, as Allison just mentioned, it may be due to the upwelling and the cold currents that are brought through this particular area, which also seems to be fueling these pretty large communities just generally. Thank you, Allison.
Always here with an assist.
Bridge nav. Request we track a line bearing 000 at 0.2 knots. Thank you.
And again, the light that is allowing us to see this area is coming from our vehicles. So these areas are typically, or always, in full darkness unless, you know, we're down here with a vehicle. Some of these corals do have coloration, and there are people working on, you know, figuring out the coloration, what causes it, but a lot of ideas tend to be associated with their evolutionary ancestors having coloration, and as they evolved to deeper depths, they just did not lose it. But again, there are people working and studying that particular topic because the corals that we know of making coral reefs at shallower depths do get color from algae, but algae is not living in the corals down here where light is not penetrating. And if you're just joining us, we reached the bottom and found a whole bunch of corals, and the density has been quite the same as we've gone forward towards our first waypoint. Lots of bamboo corals in this area. Much higher density than what we've seen on this watch in other dives for sure. I'm gonna And another note about that question about this coral community, why it may not have been affected by the El Nino event. Another layer of that, Steve Oskovich has said that the environmental drivers that affect these deep water corals are different than those that affect shallow water corals. And it's not fully clear yet how El Nino cycles would be affecting these deep sea corals, at least not yet.
Alright, maybe the ship's gonna agree with me now.
Okay.
At first I thought it was just doing its backtrack before it goes, then it just kept going.
Yeah.
I guess that's something that happens on True North a lot of times.
Awesome. Sad to see you go, Allison. Hey, Steve.
And we're swinging around.
Nav, how far have we traveled since we took our sample?
Since our sample,
I'm gonna say not very.
yeah, 145 meters.
That's pretty good.
Do you want displacement or?
I guess I was wondering how far we've traveled through this coral garden. So 145 is probably.
Yeah, that's just a second. We're looking at about 230, 240 meters. But we went around and
Yeah.
came back a little bit.
Okay.
And we are officially on the move. North. Actually north.
Roger.
You know, it's that whole equator thing. The computer got confused and started going to the south north.
Yeah, you make the call. Yeah.
And for this dive, we are looking again to assess the biodiversity of this area, get an idea of what's around, and also look at the geology of this area. And in terms of samples and sample processing, our rock samples are at the University of get sent to the University of Rhode Island, and our zoological samples go to the Museum of Comparative Zoology at Harvard. And both of those places, scientists from all over the world can request to see the samples, assess them, and learn more from them.
Hey, Hook. Do you see
Yep.
that edge of the shelf right below the laser south?
Yep.
There's a little, like, something in between, like, the shelf and a little rock over there. Can you zoom in on that? So if you keep, yeah, right there.
Right there. Go ahead, video.
Curious what that is. Little baby coral.
Yeah, little newly settled with big emphasis on those air quotes, newly settled.
Relative to the other ones around it.
Yeah.
In terms of the corals that we're seeing, Steve, are you seeing one type of coral or multiple
Thank you.
types?
As far as I can tell, it's only one type right now, one species, which is bamboo coral. It's a bamboo coral in the subfamily Keratoicidinae, and that group is pretty common at these depths. We also see. So these bamboos are nodal branching, but we also see other bamboo corals at this depth which are branching on internodes, and those particular corals I haven't seen yet. But I've been keeping my eye out for such a case. I think, I think it was a prudent move with this much coral mass here, to at least get a sample so we can understand who these are.
Who are you? And the thicker white bases that we're seeing that sort of look broken off, would that be the base of a much older, probably, thing that broke off a long time ago? Or at some point, rather?
Yeah, it definitely broke off somehow. How it happened, not clear. It could just be that the colony was top heavy and toppled over.
Yeah, we've
at
seen a
weak
couple
point.
of those.
Yeah. I'm surprised for how many there are. We're not seeing more sea stars. Sea stars are grazers of these critters.
true.
And
Brutal.
they'll often be waiting for the next one to fall.
We have seen quite a few fallen branches that look totally stripped of polyps.
Yeah.
So they They gotta be around here somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's
my phone's
totally
in my room.
possible, too, that we might see sea stars on the coral stalk themselves, but haven't seen any yet. I
Yeah.
mean, crinoids, brittle stars. Could also be other things we're not seeing. Aplecopherans are coral polyp predators, as well as some snails, some gastropods have been seen to graze on polyps. But these bamboo corals, they're a little distinct from most other corals in that the sclerites, I mentioned that corals have sclerites in their tissue in the polyp, and those sclerites in this family tend to form large spines, which could be defensive in nature, but it's not clear. It definitely influences their anatomy.
And again, are those sclerites made of the same sort of calcium carbonate material that like the white parts of the skeleton are?
Yeah, I think so. For bamboo corals, most of the time the skeleton is made out of calcium carbonate and
The protein bands.
and the protein, yeah. But the mineralogy can actually vary between between coral groups. For example, bamboo corals are mostly made out of high magnesium calcite, which allows them to live a little bit deeper than those that make skeleton out of aragonite. Because the calcite compensation depth is significantly deeper, so they can essentially live deeper without having the same stresses as aragonitic organisms, much shallower.
Very cool.
It's gonna be another good sunset.
Oh yeah.
As is tradition, you can check out Quad View, get Herc Cam, Argus Cam, and Sunset Cam. Thank you, Steve.
Video, Steve.
Video, Steve.
I feel like now it's just
Hour 4 to 8, Steve.
Yeah.
We do love our science, Steve, but not normally on this watch.
I'm just here as long as the corals are.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised there's not some sort of like tube system that just shoots you up from wherever you are into the control van when a coral is seen. And we've got some viewers wondering if jellies ever feed on corals.
Actually, yeah.
Cool.
That has been observed, and I think there might be some highlight videos somewhere on the internet, on YouTube, of small, it's not really clear who's eating who in some of these cases, whether
Oh, wow.
the coral snatched onto the jelly or the jelly is on the coral. Yeah, not clear sometimes, but there are some associations that we've noted over the past few years.
I think I have seen a video of some sort of interaction between a jelly and a coral. So viewers at home, you can check it out. See if you can find it.
This would be like a great spot to do eDNA too, if we had it. Because just the density of colonies, there's probably a lot of coral, bamboo coral eDNA here. So current, what's the current doing? What's directionality here?
Current is east to west.
Okay.
Ish. Maybe it's like northeast to southwest a bit.
No, thank you.
How fast is the ship moving on these transfers? Or on this line?
We're tracking a line at 0.3. Based on our ROV nav system, it doesn't look like Argus is listening to the ship. It's just some serious inertia or something.
Starting to go, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
really takes a
So
while.
Okay.
we're just about at waypoint 1. So just about 20 meters due east of us right now. Kind of swinging over it.
Yeah, don't worry about actually going to the waypoint. We can just kind of parallel it and head on the same track.
Yeah,
towards waypoint 2.
I'm going due north right now, which should bring us right by waypoint 2 as well.
Waypoint 1 was supposed to be a landing point.
Yeah, we got close.
Pretty close.
Right now it's a battle between ship speed and how laid back Argus is getting.
It appears from our viewers writing in that there's been another earthquake in California. Has there ever been an earthquake observed by ROVs under the water? Can you hear me? Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
We hear you, Al.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me now?
What happened there?
Yeah.
The headset's starting to hurt my head, so I switched out for another headset, and we've got to adjust some levels here. But what I was saying is that we've got viewers writing in that there has been another earthquake in California, and also wondering if there has been an earthquake ever observed by an ROV underwater.
Not to my knowledge, but we do use ROVs to install a network of seismometers off the coast of British Columbia and down into the United States. It's an early warning system for earthquakes, tsunami events, stuff like that.
Is that a part of the Ocean Networks Canada stuff?
It is.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool work scope to put one in. It's probably, I don't know, something like in the area of 16 hours each probably. We have to dredge out a hole